Again, good afternoon. Uh, our discussion will be on the introduction to the electronics engineering field, sort of, and electronic systems. So I'm your instructor, Sir Dale. So I think the first question there is, what is electronics engineering? I hope na may idea, no, how we define our field. Kay second year na laba mo. And I hope kabalo na mo sa inyong gisudlan, no? Is na enough ang reason why you ventured into studying electronics engineering. So sige daw, I'd like to solicit few responses from some of you, no? At least duha siguro. What is electronics engineering? How do you define it? I hope di tagalisod o define unsa ni siya. Sige daw. Kung gusto mo mag-answer, kung wala mo mag-speak up, pwede lang mo mag-type sa chat. Pwede lang ako basahon. No? Sige daw, Arman.
When sir, electronics engineering, I always think of it like kanang a byproduct sa electrical engineering because it involves kanang electricity, but in a micro level where mas efficient siya o mas complicated since we are dealing with microcontrollers, mga transistors and all that compared to electrical engineering and kato sir. That is how I define electronics engineering.
Okay, thank you, Arman, for that wonderful answer. Ang nakuha na ko, first off, is by products siguro siya, or siguro mas proper kay offshoot siya sa electrical engineering. No? Yes, that's partly correct. And also, sa itong mas, nakalimutan ko yung sunod ito pag-term, pero mas lower ang level sa
Or micro, sir.
micro, okay. Micro ang level siguro sa itong ginastudihan. In a sense, also, that's correct. No? So, traditionally, electronics engineering has been a branch of electrical engineering that deals with, basically, ni Armand, a more lower form, no, of devices. Lower in a sense na mas gamay siguro in size, mas gamay o power ang gina-consume, mas gamay o voltage, mas gamay current. No? So, that's true. No? Thank you, Armand. What else? Another one. So, kung gusto mo mag-respond, alam ka, paulaw. Isa pa. Para at least na tayo malaga ng something to start with. Para usay, dili na tayo maglisod good og technically define some stuff or discuss some other things. Si Kia, nag-on sa iyong mic.
Hi, sir. Para sa ako, sir, I think that electronics engineering, yes, gagig pod ko ni Arman nga. It is sort of like the love child lugar of electrical nga engineering. Pero it deals with such technologies such as kaniya itong ginatawag nga like electronics in general, like things that use sort of micro pieces of, like, for example, circuit boards or certain circuits that it doesn't really, the essence isn't really on the electricity, but more on like the functions of these circuits and how in tandem with other components can create some sort of function, like appliances that we use today. Like, for example, the computers that we are using right now, or the cell phones that we are currently using right now.
Okay, that's it, Kia?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you, no? Thank you, Kia, sa imong answer pod. Kuha lang kung duha ka terms na imong gi-use: function and technology, no? So, most of the time, we associate electronics engineering with the study of technology, especially more modern na technology, right? And that's true. and more functional kibali ang atong mga products like appliances, as you have said, and mga gadgets siguro, computers, no, yung mga pong na-mention. That's okay. Those are correct. No, so both of the answers ni Arman and ni Nikki are all correct. No, completely. So kuan lang ko ato, no, dito ko mo start. So I'm sure with them, all of you has already defined unsa nga field ang inyong gisudlan, no? Ano ba idea unsa ang electronics engineering for you? Before, the same gyapon ko sa inyo, the same gyapon akong pag-understand sa ECE. Yet sa una, kung i-simplify lang gid nako og i-simplify lang nako og state, basta kay high power electrical, basta kay low power electronics, no? Yan na sa una. Even mga tigulang sa una or mga papas yun nato nga level or mga lolo. Yan na ilang pag-define sa ECE, sa ilang pag-differentiate sa ECE o sa EE. Sa una mag-work pa na siya nga definition, pero lately man good, we have electronic devices na high-powered na sad, no, nga capable of receiving, no, or transmitting and distributing high levels of electrical power, electrical current, and electrical voltages. So dili na kay na siya mag-work nga definition, no. Nag-exist lang, no, and na naman pud gid karon. Pero in a more nga consumer nga level sa atong even sa level sa layman o layperson kibali, correct gyapon more correct ang definition nga ang mga products nato ang more useful sa society, no, and that's true. So for me pod, okay, kani simple lang pud nga definition. We'll go to a more specified definition later. But for me, electronics engineering is the analysis and design of electronic devices, circuits, ICs, and systems. And alang, no, mas simple lang siguro ang akong i-pag-define on what electronics engineering is. It's the analysis, meaning the breaking down or analyze, no? So, po ba other synonym sa analysis? So, ang iyang pinakadool mo nga synonym is ang pag-breakdown, no? Pag-scrutinize, no? The analysis and the design. Ang design is more of opposite siya opposite ang analysis and design. In sense nga, analysis is i-breakdown, no? I-scrutinize, as I've said. Ang design is more integrative, okay? Come together, i-synthesize, no? Coming up of something. So electronics engineering is the analysis of devices, circuits, and systems, and also the design of devices, circuits, and systems. In electronics 1, we'll be focusing more on the analysis and design of devices and circuits. Although sometimes we will be covering or touching on ICs and systems, but mostly focus lang ta sa electronic devices and circuits, no? So this is an example of an electronic device man ni siya, or circuit, or integrated circuit, or system, no? So don't worry, and don't answer no? Ay lang sa inyo answer kung sa ni. Kasi nasa inyong mind nga, sir, more obvious mo na siya nga IC. Okay? Maybe. Dili ba na siya electronic device, sir? Maybe. System ba siya? So ato nang dig deeper later. Okay. Unsa ang kaning kuan? Unsa ni siya nga image na sa front of us. But pwede gyapon ta mo kuha og definition based on what is lawful, no? From the law or gikan sa balaod. So sa Philippines, kay naman to sa Pilipinas, the practice of electronics engineering is covered by RA 9292, Republic Act 1992 of 2004, an act providing for a more responsive and comprehensive regulation for the registration, licensing, and practice of professional electronics engineering, and electronics technician, repealing RA 5734. And this act shall be known as the Electronics Engineering Law of 2004. So sa balaod, i-define niya ang ECE as, or the practice of ECE as, taas kayo. Mas taas siya kaysa sa atong working definition earlier. No? I hope klaro sa na-share ng screen. No? So, what is ECE? Or what is the nature and scope of the practice of ECE? Okay. The scope and nature of the practice of ECE shall embrace and consist of any work or activity relating to the application of engineering sciences. Okay? Keyword, application of engineering sciences. So, dili mawala si engineering sciences. Physics, chemistry, economics, no? Tanan, strength of materials, all of those allied sciences. Or principles to the investigation, ako analysis and design na ganito akong kuan ganina, no? Sulti. Nasa law, appeal pod, ang investigation, analysis, synthesis, planning, design, specification, research and development, provision, procurement, marketing and sales, manufacture and production, construction and installation, test, measurement, control, operation, repair, appeal pa lang, repair, servicing, technical support and maintenance of electronic components, devices, products, apparatus, instruments, equipment, systems, networks, operations, and processes in the fields of, no? Keywords ni after ani. In the fields of the electronics, including communications and or telecommunications, information and communications technology. Pause ako dira. If makita na to sa law, no? If we'll study this particular law, RA 9292, appeal day sa atong field ang investigation, analysis, and up to operations and technical support, maintenance, servicing, so on and so forth. Sa ICT, Information and Communications Technology, so ato day na ang ICT, no? So field siya sa ECE sa Philippines ang Information and Communications Technology. Even though intrinsically ICT is a different field in itself, no? But by law, ato siyang naangkon kibali sa ECE, no? Ang ICT. Not only ICT but computers and their networking, also a different field pero ato agyapon. And hardware, firmware, software development and applications. Before, wala na siya. Broadcasting lang siguro nagsugod, no? The broadcasting or broadcast, cable and wireless television, consumer and industrial electronics, ano pa, electro-optics, photonics, optoelectronics, electromagnetics, avionics, aerospace, no? Navigational and military applications, medical, electronics, robotics, cybernetics, biometrics, and all other related and convergent fields. So, based sa law, medyo broad ang practice of electronics engineering. It also includes the administration, management, supervision, and regulatory aspects of such work and activities. Similarly included are those teaching and training activities. So, appeal de iPod are covered. Or, we could also say nga, dili pwede mag-practice o teaching and training activities related to ECE if dili walay license, no? Which develop the ability to use electronic engineering fundamentals, so on and so forth. Yan ako tiwasan. So, sa fields pa lang alone, no? Sa practice of ECE in the Philippines, medyo broad siya. So, if there's one thing that we could get from this, is medyo versatile ang atong field when it comes to practice, no? Sa Philippines. Although na disadvantage to that. And siguro ma-understand na to na soon. Pero, yes, mas dako ang atong field sa nga pwede ta mapadulong, no, when you graduate as ECE. So, in a more general na level, kato kay bylaw man to. In a more general level, I'll be discussing some common fields of electronics engineering. One is in analog electronics, okay? Analog electronics. What are some examples of maybe it's lagging na, no? Or kung ano kung ako i-define on sa gitang analog electronics. Pero we'll start with stating some examples of products or systems or devices nga under aning field. And from there, kuha na to unsa ang analog electronics as compared to other fields. No? So, analog electronics, some examples sa iyang mga products or systems are amplifiers, oscillators, filters, and timers. Okay? Basta kani-gani nga mga kuan, basta kani-gani nga mga systems, no? So under na siya sa field of analog electronics. As such, kanang image na sa atong right, no? So that's one example of a if ako masoy power supply, no? Nga na IC na naka-connect. So sa atong kuan, kaning subject ECE 1, electronics 1 or ECE 12, mo focus ta almost exclusively to the study of amplifiers, no? So dili ba dako ra kayo ang field sa ECE, no? Yes, dako gid kaayo, no? Very vast. Pero nganong amplifiers lang ang atong almost exclusively i-focus sa electronics 1? Because by studying amplifiers, we will get the dito ako gusto mo gamit og kanang technical term, no? Magmakuha na to ang pedagogical na feel on what our field is all about, no? But yeah, even just studying amplifiers alone, daghan na tag makuha nga mga concepts that would allow us to study all the other systems easily, no? Mag-wonder lang ta. Yan na ba na, no? Is it that simple? Yes, it's that simple. It's that simple na if mag-focus lang ta sa atong study sa isa ka system, all the other systems would, if mag-study ta, would fall into place snugly, no? Even if amplifiers lang ato i-focus for this whole semester, no? Malapog ingani, no? We could also look at it this way. Some would say na ang electronics 1 daw ang isa sa pinakalisod nga electronics subject na i-learn, no? Lisod siya in the same way nga mas lisod patunan ang differential calculus kaysa sa integral and differential equations. Ano man, anong mas lisod pa man ang diffcal kaysa sa integral o kaysa sa DE daw, no? Who has an opinion on this? Mo agree ba mo nga lisod ang differential calculus, no? Or naglisod ta before sa diffcal kaysa sa katong nag-integral na ta?
Siguro, sir.
Yes, sir.
Kano sa ba dili lisod ang integral, sir?
Pero sige, ikaw daw, Kia. So man, mas lisod ang integral or mas lisod ang differential or integral?
I think sa mo take in consideration gid ang sa sugod gid maglisod, sir.
Sakto, no? Thank you.
Oo.
Muna siya kung gusto madunggan, Kia, no? So thank you. Normal na siya nga lisod ta sa sugod, no? Why? Start from scratch beta, start from zero, no? Start ta sa atong learning curve at the very bottom, no? No matter how steep or how low the learning curve is, lisod gid ang sugod. Even if in retrospect, ang mga topics sa electronics 1 kay masayon compared sa mga major subjects. Pero kalisod tag study ani because this is the first time pamanggod nga maka-encounter yani nga ingani nga mga concepts, no? Even sa the concept alone of semiconductor materials or semiconductor devices, no? Even the diode, no? Even the simple diode, the simplest of all electronic devices. Pero basta kay first time pag gani ma-encounter na siya, galisod gid ang student, no? Matingala na lang mo nga masayon pa tun-an ang microprocessor systems in the future, no? Mas complex pa man gid to. Ano man, no? Kay dagan naman tag na cover nga mga preliminary topics before nga sayon na lang ang major subjects, no? Masisud pa ang basic kibali. So the same gyapon dire, no? We'll start with analog electronics or the study of this particular na electronic device or electronic circuit, the amplifier. With that, daghan tag makuha na mga concepts that we'll be using sa atong future na study, no? Or even sa future na to ng mga major subjects. Okay? The study of oscillators, filters, and timers, and all the other analog electronic building blocks would be covered on electronics 2, no? Next semester. Okay? Dili lang kay amplifiers atong i-discuss next sem, but amplifiers, oscillators, timers, filters, converters, so pa ba? Comparators, so on so forth. No, daghan kay na sila. Pero dali na lang na sa tun-an, no? Dali na lang na sa tun-an. Kay daghan na tag na kibali magdigta og a deep na foundation diri sa ECE 12, no? Just by studying amplifier circuits. Take note lang, ana. Another field of ECE is digital electronics. So, if na analog, na po digital electronics. And for you, next year ni siya. Next year. Some examples of digital electronic circuits are combinational gates, latches, flip-flops, binary adders, timers, counters, etc. So even ang combinational gates, some of you may be familiar with this one. AND gate, OR gate, NOT gate. Sounds familiar? Ang katong yes, just type yes sa chat or type 1. No? If dili, okay lang. No? Okay kaso. So these are if katong kaganina, amplifiers, oscillators, timers, filters, these are the analog electronic building blocks. These devices are the digital electronic building blocks. And tungod kay we are living in a digital world right now, almost all of the devices that we have, from the mobile phones, the tablets, the laptops, have these electronic devices inside of them. No? So this is an example of a digital, crude noon no? This might be simple and crude, but this is a digital electronic device. Notice the integrated circuits nga naa sa center nga portion. Adili nga part kani. Kung asa akong pointers, akong mouse. Pwede man din makakuan ba? Ayun lang ipsik makakuan. Mag-lag. So what makes this image a digital circuit is because of the integrated circuits nga nasa tunga, no? And if I'm not mistaken, these are gates and flip-flops. Kanina nasa tunga, no? Another field would be microelectronics, a fast-growing field right now. Ang products sa microelectronics are integrated circuits, electromechanical systems or MEMS, RF ICs or radio frequency ICs. No? So in this packaging. Some of you might possibly be attracted to this field once you graduate. No? And isa sa nakapa-attract sa mga ECE graduates sa kaninga field is dili required ang license to practice, no? Microelectronics. The design and the fabrication of integrated circuits. And ang mga dagko nga kumpanya sa microelectronics sa Philippines is nasa Luzon, no? Nasa Cavite. Daghang tag-alumni nga napo dito, no? Basig ma-attract mo nga mag-work, no? Dito pohon. So microelectronics. There would be power electronics. Mga itong ako na-mention earlier, no? Electronic devices that deal with high power, high current, high voltage energy, no? High power electronic devices and converters dapat ni, no? Ako lang na-collect later. Converters na siya pa siya. DC to DC converter, DC to AC, AC to AC, and AC to AC, AC-DC converters, no? So the image sa inyong right, no, on the right of the screen, sa right portion sa screen, is what we call a thyristor. No? Kung gusto niyo i-take note, it's spelled as like this. Thyristor. Okay. Power electronics for you would be studied on Electronics 3 next year, first sem. And thyristors would be the first devices nga na inyong tunan dito. Pohon. Ilang kayo ako i-kuan maayo focus kayo. Wagi mangyapon no ani pohon. Embedded systems. What are embedded systems? Microcontrollers, microprocessors, DSPs, FPGAs, ASICs, SoCs. ASICs are ASIC. IC maning integrated circuit maning IC. Malook up na siya, no? Dumduman lang. SoCs are systems on chips, no? Okay, we have the Arduino and the Raspberry Pi. Those are examples of microcontrollers and microprocessor boards. Na po yung mga DSPs, digital signal processors, the onboard electronics na naa sa either audio systems or audio or cameras, no, digital cameras. Kanang mga processors na capable of manipulating and storing digital images, moagi na first og digital signal processor nga nasa sulod or naka-embed sa digital cameras. No? Another would be FPGA, or field programmable gate arrays. No? So the image on the bottom right is an example of an FPGA. So what is an FPGA? It's a very versatile device that is capable of implementing digital circuits. So katong before bitaw ganina, kadon mo atong crude nga circuit, daghang kay wire. Pwede to siya ma-implement easily sa kaning FPGA, no? And one of the largest field of ECE, siguro mga more than 50% dili ka kapadalong once they graduate, is the field of telecommunications. Busa bitaw before, ang meaning sa ECE is electronics and communication. Kaya more na siya congyud, no? Ako gid nga part. Pero karon tungod kay mas vast na ang field of ECE, dili necessarily na nga tanan nga ECE is mapudlong sa telecom. So we have radio and wireless communication systems, satellite communication systems, broadcast communication systems. Basta kay communication, under na siya nga field. And software-defined radio. So I think this is familiar, or this is a familiar nga image. Radio booth, I think, no, radio broadcasting booth with numerous electronic communication systems nga naka-place on top of each other sa shelf. Right? Yeah, I think broadcasting booth ni siya. Napagay kalaan nga yung computer. Oh. So kalaan siya ni siya image. But today, no, in this day and age, believe it or not, all of these systems could be implemented using software with a device as small as a USB, no? A USB stick. So muna itong ginatawag, kana nga specific device, kana nga actual image, dili na siya flash drive, that's a software-defined radio. So, ang schematic diagram aning kaning electronic systems kay pwede ma-convert into software and i-implement sa software-defined radio. No? Amazing ka na siya nga device. Pareho na kagamay sa pareho na siya kagamay sa flash drive. I-program lang siya as such. I'm not saying it's as easy, no? It's as easy as it sounds. Pero once kabluta on sound pag-program na tayo kay Bali portable broadcasting booth, no? At the comfort of your desk, no? Of course, kinahanglan mo gamit mo yung laptop para or computer or PC, no? Para magamit ang SDR or software defined radio. Pero just try to comprehend that one, no? Ang kaninga mga radio equipment daghan ni siya, di lang kay daghan but dagko. But pwede siya ma-implement as easily as a device as small as this one, no? Grabe ka amazing sa karon nga panahon. So, that's the field of telecommunications. And many other fields, no? Wala na ako na-mention. Dagan pa. Biomedical electronics. Part po na siya. Robotics, no? Instrumentation and control. Okay? So, dagan pa og fields and subfields ng ECE. Those are just the common ones I mentioned. Kaya basig, isa ka meeting atong makonsume kung tanan gid, no? And lagi ako gi-define ang field, ako lang gi-state what are some examples of the systems that are the products of those fields. So next we'll move on to the current and emerging trends in ECE. So what are the buzzwords in our field right now? What's some idea, no? Unsa ang mga buzzwords karon? No? Unsa kaha? What are the trends ngayong kakadunggan? Nag-on kag mic, Nico? Okay. Okay, Nico said 5G. Ikaw man, nakaikuan?
Connected robot. Dito Telcom, sir.
Dito. Okay. Connected ako sa 5G.
Connect.
Okay. So, may pag-iunan ako og butang ang slide nga 5G. Thank you no sa inyong responses. May pag-iunan ako og butang ang 5G. Part na siya sa akong slide. Pero sa ikaduha pa. Ang first is IoT or Internet of Things. Dunggan ninyo ni? I'm sure common ni siya karon. Who's heard of this term before? IoT or Internet of Things. So when I say emerging trends, one of the things nga one of the things na pwede natin makonect dito is nag-converge to mga fields nga itong na-mention earlier, no? Nag-converge na mga fields. Before, those fields are standalone fields. Pero tungod ani nga mga trends and emerging trends, dili isla possible if wala nag-meet, no? Meet ang mga nag-meet those different fields of ECEs. So isa sa ilang meeting point is ang IoT and Industry 4.0. What is IoT? If first time pa niyo na dunggan siya nga term, it's as that, no? Internet of Things. So ang atong internet karon is an internet of people, right? Ang connected sa internet are people, no? Through mobile devices and PCs or laptops. But there will come a time, actually kakahitabo naman ni karon, no? Kakahitabo naman ni karon in some form. Pero puhon daw 5G was made not only for a more efficient way to connect people, but also for a way to connect objects, no? To connect items. What kind of items? Items ka na sa inyong household. Unsa man siya? Ang electrical system, ang suga, no? Ang ref, ang washing machine. So I think na naman siguro na karon, no? Isa sa pwede na to ma-observe sa IoT today is kamantay mo ng mga mobile apps nga pwede maka-turn on o turn off sa mga appliances sa balay.
Kanang Alexa, sir.
Malaging ana, no? Mark Alexa, yeah. Exactly. Okay. So malaging ana, kana gid exactly. But that's just one phase, no? Dili lang kana, but apil na ang car, apil na ang sakyanan kay bale, no? Tanan nga makita nato sa balay, as trivial as kaniha, just hear me out, as trivial as our clothes, no? Atong clothes, pwede na siya mo connect sa internet. Medyo wild pa na siya paminahon karon, pero that's one of the things nga ilang ina-envision. Tanan butang ato makita around us would be connected to the internet. And with that is Industry 4.0. So what is Industry 4.0? Or the fourth industrial revolution? We've heard before that the first industrial revolution in the 1700s was the mechanization, no? The taking advantage of steam power and mass production. Okay, Industry 2.0 din ang mass production, no? So, product kibali ang Industry 1.0 sa, if makuha lang taog field sa engineering, Industry 1.0 was because of mechanical engineering. Industry 2.0, or the second industrial revolution, which happened in the 1800s due to mass production and the assembly line and electrification or electrical energy. No? The second industrial revolution didn't happen daw if not because of mass electrification or the distribution of electrical energy, which is a product of electrical engineering. Industry 3.0 in the 1900s, or just recently, because of automation, fast electronic devices, computers, no, networking, computer networks, internet, no, muna siyang industry 3.0. So what is Industry 4.0? Cyber physical systems, IoT, and networks. So dili lang dili lang kay computers naga-control og devices, but ang devices mismo, no, the sensors themselves are already connected to the internet. So that's Industry 4.0. So timing kaayo ning Industry 4.0 actually sa atong panahon karon, no? Nga pwede na ta maka-work sa balay. Yan na. So these two are one of the emerging trends of electronics engineering. So these two are will also not be possible without 5G, okay? Cellular network evolution. Kung ato mo siyang i-compare together with its predecessors, mara lang siya og iteration or recent development sa mobile communication. Kay before namatay 1G, and lately we have 4G, so we have 5G. Pero it's more than that, no? It's more than the fact nga improvement siya sa 4G, because from 1G to 4G, that is true, okay? Tinuod nga ang 2G was just the improvement of 1G, 3G is the improvement of 2G, and so on and so forth. But we should also understand that although 5G is, yes, an improvement of 4G, but it's more than that, no? Mas dako ang gina-promise ni 5G kaysa sa just an improvement of speed and connectivity nga gina-provide ni 4G. Other than that, 5G would usher in IoT and the fourth industrial revolution. Okay? So dili lang siya kay mas paspas sa 4G or mas daghan ang pwede ma-connect sa 4G, but gi-develop nila ang 5G, no? The engineers and scientists right now are developing 5G to make IoT and the fourth industrial revolution possible. Okay, so these are one of the current and emerging trends in electronics engineering. Dagan pa siguro nga di nako ma-state right now. Kaya mo naman ang things nga nagsulod sa at the top of my mind when I was preparing this one. No? Other magud nga trends and current issues sa atong field kay usahay magud malag-restricted lang sa isa ka particular field, no? Example, no? Another emerging trend sa ECE, wala na ko gi-mention because restricted lang siya sa isa ka field. The development of a newer semiconductor device, no? That isn't anymore silicon based, okay? I think I'm sure all of you are familiar na ang basis sa atong electronic devices right now is the element silicon, no? So scientists and electronics engineers are trying to find another material that would replace silicon. Kaya na may limit po ng silicon, no? Na-limit ang silicon. So na po, if silicon na sa limit, also is the ceiling of processing and computation power, no? Example naman tayo i9 karon. Ang siguro ang point na nanay i18, no? Siguro, or i20, I don't know. Pero nagi na siya hangganan, no? There's a ceiling to computation power unless we could find a replacement for silicon, no? So that's another emerging trend in electronics engineering, but restricted lamang gud siya sa microelectronics, no? Restricted siya sa semiconductor physics. So dili siya converging field. Okay? So wala na, gi-leave out na lang ako na siya. No? Ano pa isa, oh? Wala ko nakuan. The smart car system, no? So right now they are developing new ways on how to make our vehicles, no, or automobiles smarter. Okay? Ang mga cars magod karon, yes, ang cars karon wala pa man siguro yung car nga directly connected sa internet. Although na siya GPS system, isa nga na lang siguro nga way connected siya to GPS. Pero try to think of this one nga ang car is as exactly as your mobile phones nga isa nga nga pamagi siya connected sa internet. So dili pa, di ba? Wala pa man. Pero maabot ang point na the car now is the thing that is connected to the internet, no? So part siya sa IoT nga revolution ang car is mo connect na pod sa internet. But aside from that, even ang conventional car na to karon is already a smart system in a way nga daghan siya og sensors, no? That is what makes automobiles right now smart, is because of the sensors nga connected sa iya nga capable of measuring numerous physical measurements, no? So dili pa lang sa atong slide ang atong car or kaninga car nga nasa slide is na ay night vision, na ay auto dimming mirror, okay, na siya ay battery management, di lang kay battery monitoring but battery management pod, no? Na siya ay hill hold control, ano may navigation system, digital turn signal, adaptive cruise control, no? So kung kinsa dire ang drive, no, or ga maneho og sakyanan, mas ma-appreciate gud nila ang kaninga mga instrumentation na naka package sa automobile. Sa karon ganing nga panahon, our cars are electronic naman, no? Do you know that nga ang atong mga sakyanan karon kay na naman halos na naman gay onboard nga computer na naka-install. Do you know that? Kinsa diri ang ginapa car wash sa ilang own na sakyanan, no? Or sakyanan sa ilang ginikanan. Kung sa isa sa butang nga dili pwede mabasa sa sakyanan.
Ang interior, sir.
Oh yes, of course. Aside sa interior. Pero kung mabasa ang interior, or mabahaan kibali ba? Okay pa man na, no? Hugaw lang, pero mugana pa man ang sakyanan. Pero if there's one thing nga kung once mabasa na gani, usay gani ang engine kung mabasa, mugana pa man gyapon, no? Pero ang isa sa butang nga ginaiwasan gini nga mabasa bitaw sa sakyanan is kanang computer nga nasa sulod, no? Tapad na sila dito sa under sa hood No, medyo taas-taas na siya gamay para siguro og baha-baha gyud di gyud siya maabtan. Pero once maabot na or maapawan na gyud sa baha ang sakyanan, di na gyud siya mudagan, no. Posible ang engine di man ginabadawat kay mechanical naman ang system. Pero once ang computer mabasa, medyo lisod na siya, no. So if our cars have computers, napud na sila mga operating systems, no. Not like Windows or Linux or Mac, pero napod na sa operating system nga mag-run og software nga mag-control ani nga mga sensors, no. Believe it or not, ang ang number
Nag-reset ako. Sabi na ako ang nag-disconnect.
Oh, sige, sige. Wala si sir. Wala siguro yung kuryente dito. Wala internet.
Hello? Wala ko.
Broken up.
No, sir.
No, sir.
Asa
No,
ko
sir.
taman
No, sir.
ganina. Asa ko taman kato naputol ko.
Smart
Kung
car
sa
system,
Smart
sir.
car.
Smart
Sa
car
car,
system,
sir.
sir.
kung computer, kung mabasa.
Di ay. Layo gud ay ba? Ako bantay na. Dito na ako bantay itong next slide na ko. Sige, wait lang sa ha. Mhm. I don't know tungkol sa kaulan nun. Okay. Makita na ba akong screen? Loading
Yes,
pa?
sir.
Yes, sir. Kita na.
Nakita.
Okay. Sige.
Kana,
Padala
sir.
ko sa... Okay. Thank you. Next slide na lang ko, no? Last na emerging trend is the smart grid. Okay. I think kuan gyapon ni ay mahulog gud gyapon nga IoT ni karon. Tungod lagi sa recent developments sa IoT, all the other emerging trends before, no, even many years back, would be made possible na. And nawala ang akong screen, no. Nawala.
Nawala, sir.
Tungod na siya sa computer. Sige, papaday na lang ko, no. Paday na lang ko og talk. And then refer na lang sa akong slides later kay upload man gyapon ako ning slide. Hindi naman po lisod siguro i-follow ang akong i-discuss because gamay lang din nabilin, no? So with those different fields of engineering and those current trends in our field, with the different fields comes different types of systems, no? Different products sa nagkalain-lain na field. Okay? So dapat natay isa ka unifying approach. Okay? One unifying approach on how to study study electronic systems. Okay, so we have the systems approach to studying electronics. Okay? While galod ang akong laptop, ako lang siguro tanawan lang mo sa akong camera. No? Yan na. So we have this systems approach to studying electronics or electronic systems. Okay? So we have three components: the input, the output, and of course the system, the electronic system. Okay? So take note of this lang. I think common man ni siya nga tool or common siya nga construct on studying some other some other fields in engineering. Okay. So pwede ta magkuan og isa ka example, no. So let's say for example, not necessarily an electronic system. Let's say kanang simple lang nga appliance. toaster. Okay, toaster. Bread toaster. Simple lang na siya nga kuan. The bread toaster is a system. Okay. What are possible inputs of the toaster? Sige daw. Wala kong ipagana ang pag-share sa
Sliced
screen.
bread.
Okay, sliced bread. Ano sa pa? Dagan pa, no? I could think of some pa nga input sa atong bread toaster. Ano sa to, man?
Timer, sir. Timer.
Timer. Okay, good. Sakto, timer. Wait. Yeah, saktong timer, no? Other than the timer. So to bread, timer, ano sa pa?
Electricity, sir.
Okay, very good. Electricity. Okay. So those are, if ever napailain, no, those are the three things that I could think of na input sa atong toaster. The toaster as the system. What are the outputs? Ano sa mga output?
Toast.
Toasted bread. Okay, the toast. Sa pa?
Heat.
Heat. Very good. Heat. Is there anything else? Napay isa ako makuan. Ay, di mo matangag permission. Sige. Sa pa? Ang bagting, no? Yes, isa po na siya sa output. So those are the outputs of our system, no? So dili man siya dili lisod i-understand ang systems approach to studying electronic systems because we've been using that in our practical daily life. We could not have a desired output if wala totally ang mga inputs nga necessary, no? Just like the toaster nga example, if wala ang kuryente, no? If wala nga gisat ang timer, if wala bread nga itong gisuksok dito, di gapon to mag-work, no? We could not obtain our desired outputs. Okay? So the same with electronic systems. So we All right, sige. Sorry for that. Nat, be careful what you wish for, Gidan. Lagay
Ayun
ko
lang,
lang.
sir.
Lagay ko daw. Michael, sa akong na. So we will be adopting this systems approach most of the time kung mag-study taog electronic systems. Okay? Ako untang i-move sa next na slide, no? But I think mag-work na ang akong share screen. Wait lang sagad.
Nakamute ka, sir.
Okay, sorry, thank you. It's important for us to adopt a systems approach kay para ma-define nato ang system boundary. Okay? System boundary. For this example, this system, pwede na siya nato tawagon na as a video key system, no? So this system or the system is bounded as such na part sa system ang microphone and ang speaker and ang audio amplifier, no? So a pretty simple system. If na-define man gud nato ang boundary sa atong system, ma-define po nato unsa atong expected inputs and outputs. So in this case, sound energy, no, or audio, and ang output is the same gyapon, no, sound energy. If atong i-move closer, no, internally ang boundary in such a way nga mo na ni ang system boundary, meaning ang atong system is just the audio amplifier. Meaning outside sa atong system in question, our system at hand, ang microphone and speaker. So if our system is just the audio amplifier itself, the expected input and output are electrical signal, di ba? Klaro ba sa inyo na ang output sa audio amplifier is not yet the sound signal? Electrical pa na siya in nature, no? Sine wave pa na siya. So the microphone and the speaker are the devices capable of transforming the sound signal back and forth to electrical. So ang microphone mo input og sound, i-convert niya to electrical signal. I-input niya sa atong system as electrical signal. So ang atong system, which is the audio amplifier, would output also an electrical signal, no? Electrical energy signal in the form of electrical energy nga i-receive sa speaker. Okay? So meaning ang output sa atong system is an electrical signal pa. If i-receive na siya sa speaker, the speaker now would output it as sound para atong ma-understand, atong ma-perceive. Okay? So that's the reason why we should define what is our system and where is the boundary of our system para makabalota unsa ang ato expected nga signal, input and output. So these are examples of physical signals that we'll be dealing with. Sa electronics 1, mostly ma-encounter lang din nato ang mostly nga to ma-encounter is the analog signal, A. Okay? Pohon sa inyong other major subjects, maka-encounter na mo og multi-valued but digital signal, letter B, and binary signal, letter C. Binary meaning two levels, only on and off, no? Ones and zeros, 0 volt and 5 volts. Yan na. So, again, we define the system boundary for us to know what kind of signals our system will need as input and iyang i-produce as output. Example ani, no? The engine control unit. Okay? So, ang atong system diri is only the engine control unit. Okay? So, the engine control unit is a type of microcontroller unit capable of receiving, no, analog and digital signal, no? So nadire mo receive siya og pressure, og temperature, position, speed, and pwede po siya mo output og no, because microcontroller unit siya, I believe iyang output lagid ani is digital in nature, no? Yeah. So digital yung output ani, although it is capable of receiving analog input, no. So again, that's the wisdom behind, no, that we know asa ang boundary sa atong system. So this is a common, no, or mo gyud ni siya, no, this is the definition for an electronic system block diagram. The electronic system is that rectangle in the middle, that's the electronic system, and connected to its input is a source, and connected to its output is the load. So common na siya nga term when we say source, of course, source, connected niya sa input. The output will be delivered to a load. Okay? That common na siya nga term po nga itong gamiton. When we say load, connected gina siya always sa output. Alright? The source may be at times a sensor. Okay? A sensor is a technical term for a device transforming a physical signal to an electrical signal. Okay? Timanan na siya. Try to remember that ang sensor is a device that will transform a physical signal to an electrical signal, because our electronic system will only receive electrical inputs. Okay? So ang sensor ang capable of transforming a physical signal like light, sound, temperature, pressure, whatever, transform niya to into electrical. the actuator is opposite, no? Ang opposite sa sensor kay actuator. The actuator will transform the electrical signal into a physical signal. So what kind of physical signal? The same as earlier. Sound, light, temperature, pressure, position, speed, whatever. Okay? So example sa physical nga signal, sound. Ayun na lang sound. Kita mo ito kanina, no? Temperature. Okay, temperature. What's an example of a temperature sensor? One would be a thermistor, no? A thermal resistor. Another would be a thermocouple, no? So those are temperature sensors. No? Sige lang, okay lang nyo na take note. No? Okay lang na siya. One example of a temperature actuator, i-convert ang electricity to heat. Okay? Heating coil, no? Heating coil. Ano? So, sensors and actuators are both examples of transducers. Okay? Collectively, they are called transducers. And when you say transducer, general na siya nga term for a device capable of transforming one electrical energy to another. Okay? Transducer, transducer, one electrical energy to another. Sensor, physical to electrical. Actuator, electrical to physical. Okay? It's also possible that our electronic system, kaning nasa tunga bitaw, is composed of multiple cascaded subsystems. Subsystem A, subsystem B, and subsystem C. Now, why is this important? Try to zero in on subsystem B. Okay? Focus sa subsystem B. Di ba, earlier, ang nakakonect sa input side ni system is the source. Ang nakakonect sa output side ni system is si load. So, if we'll focus on subsystem B, ang iyahang source is si subsystem A, correct? So, ang load ni subsystem B is si subsystem C. Pwede ka po the other way around. Ang load ni subsystem A is si subsystem B. Ang source ni subsystem A is, of course, si sensor. Ang load ni subsystem C is si actuator. So, ang source ni subsystem C is si subsystem B. Okay? So, this will come in handy one of these days. Try to remember lang ha, ang mga terms. Load, source, sensor, actuator. So, the study of electronics is a problem of transforming a practical... the study of electronics is the study of transforming a physical problem at the top level sa kana nga diagram to a physical level, no? So physics. Okay? So, like for example, right now, no, what is one of the problems of or challenges of mankind nga somehow na solve naman sa noon? Long distance communication, di ba? Long distance communication. Before, long distance communication was solved by using Morse code, no? Morse code lang. And then abot ang telephone, and then abot ang internet, and then karon naabot ang 4G. Just like what we are doing right now, no? Naka-communicate ko sa inyo wherever you are out there. Pamaagi sa Google Meet na software, right? Google Meet na software. So that is solved in part by the application software. This one, Google Meet, which is delivered or operated by the operating system. Kung naka-tablet mo, pwede iOS or Android or Mac or Linux or Windows, no? So, ang operating system is magdepend sa... Ilang kayo na ko ni siya i-go one by one, ha? When you say architecture, that speaks of computer architecture. And then, some levels below, basta kay from operating system to architecture to microarchitecture, no? To logic, to digital circuits, to analog circuits, no? So, at the most basic level, even microprocessors nga gahandle sa atong mga devices right in front of us has analog circuits, no, inside of them. And before na to understand ang analog circuits like amplifiers, oscillators, timers, we need to understand how they work as devices. And we cannot understand how they work as devices if we do not know how the material that compose of them works, no? So sa physical nga level. So again, the study of electronics is just the conversion of a practical problem sa atong nga level, no? The practical problem in this case is the long distance communication, real-time communication, to a physics, no? Physical problem, physics level na problem. So electronics engineers would be somewhere in between ana nga diagram. Kanang naka-highlight as blue, kanang naka-highlight as blue, mo na ang atong area of interest, no, as electronics engineers. From devices to logic. Okay. Kaya dili naman gyud necessarily atong field ang architecture, ang computer architecture and microarchitecture sa mga computer engineers na sila. So kita as ECEs, nataan ang level from devices to logic devices. So we convert theory, the laws of physics, no, Ohm's law, Kirchhoff's voltage law, and Kirchhoff's current law, and we apply it to the study of passive components and passive circuits. So dili ni mao ang focus sa ato ang subject kay circuits 1 man eh. Okay, circuits 1 ni siya. Electronics 1 is this one, no? The study of actually dili pa gid ni ato apod. These are future electronic subjects. Might be electronics 2, electronics 3, ECE 18, so on so forth. Dili pa gid ni ato Amo tataan ni pohon. Natadli karon, no? Yeah. We are here. The study of discrete active components and discrete circuits. What active components? Diodes and transistors in particular. Thyristors, dili pa na ato ang field karon, no? Dili pa na siya ato ang focus sa atong study. Diodes and transistors particularly, and amplifier circuits. Part gyapon ang rectifiers pohon ato atong masabtan, no, we will learn how rectifiers work, because in that way we learn how diodes work. But if iset na ninyong mind, try to set your mind that we'll be learning how diodes, transistors, and amplifiers work. Kana lang. That is the bulk of our study of ECE 12 or Electronics 1. Okay. Key points. Kamo nila basaan ni, no? Di na ako ni-go over. This summarizes what we have discussed thus far. And I think that's it. Okay. Any questions?
Sir, question lang, sir.
Yes, kinsa to si Kia?
Sa imong presentation kaganiya, sir, ba? Napilit rami sa block diagram sa
Di ay?
electronics. Oh, napa-slides na ito, sir.
Oh, napa. Di ay, nag-stop siguro.
Nag-thinkpod ko nga dito rapat taman. Pero sige na lang, sir.
Di ay. Sige, sa limitation to siya sa akong laptop yun siguro. Sorry for that, guys, Pero,
Okay lang, sir.
don't worry.
I-post ni sir, no?
Yeah, i-post na ko ang
Po sa makanin mo, okay lang, sir.
ang recording. But maybe ang recording is the same gyapon sa inyo ang nakita, nga nagpilit gyapon dito, no? Pero ang akong slide, akong i-post. Pwede mo maminaw without looking at the video. Minaw lang mo, more podcast, then dito lang mo mag-follow sa slide nga inyong nang i-download. Okay? Pwede naman siguro yung ana. Oo, pwede naman siguro yung ana. Okay. Na-limit kita sa capability sa ako ang electronic device din. Itaw. So, any more concerns or any questions? So, if I'll try to summarize what we've learned this afternoon, 1, na-orienta on sa ang different fields sa ECE. Number 2, mga current trends, kung asa nag-converge ang atong mga different fields. Number 3, the systems approach that we'll be using. If delete device level ang atong study, if device level ang atong study, di man kayo natuto magamit pa ang systems approach. Pero that would come in useful soon, no? Pohon-pohon. So we'll be using that one for us to define the system boundary and for us to know what kind of signals we're dealing with, the input and output signal. So system boundary. So electronic devices nga ito i-study sa atong subject, no? This course, ECE 12, focus ang sa tulo. Diodes, transistors, and amplifiers. Pamahagi ana, ma-gain na to ang intuition of studying electronics. Honestly, lisod siya sa start. Lisod sa start ang pag-study sa electronics 1, not because lisod gid ang electronics 1, but again, because this is the first time na maka-study taan nga mga concepts, no? But this course will be, or I mean, this subject will be very rewarding for future major subjects. So if I were you, if pwede lang yun, no? Although that dili siya required sa class, para maka-enter mo sa class, try to procure a copy of Electronic Devices by Boylestad. E-book will do if kaya gid ninyo og pabasa inyong self og e-book na format. Ako di man ko personally di mo ko comfortable gud magbasa og e-book even sa tablet kay lahi gid ang kuan kay lahi ang feel sa physical nga textbook. Pero if pwede na mo mag-e-book, no? Pwede na mo kanang comfortable na mo mag-read through e-book. Pwede na, no? Download lang mo copy sa Electronic Devices by Boylestad. Yan na. So, some other questions. My personal expectation sa class is katulang yun, no? Whatever things na itong ma-discuss, I'm sure di na ako ma-cover completely in detail sa 1 hour and 30 minutes per meeting. So, try to read more. Even if isa lang atong source nga inyong i-refer, even if si Boylestad lang inyong i-refer nga source, enough na kayo na siya, no? That's very much enough. Samot na if i-couple pag ninyo with watching other YouTube videos on electronic devices, like those produced by our Indian brothers and sisters sa YouTube. No? Sahay, mas maayo pa magita sila mag-explain. Masay, ga-rely po ko sa ila sometimes sa other theories. No? So, they can be helpful. Although, ang minimum requirement lang yun, no? Although, ang minimum grade ma-achieve naman ninyo just by attending our synchronous sessions, just by complying the requirements. But if gusto mo go further, no, outside of our scheduled time, try to read your textbooks. Yan na lang. Try to watch YouTube videos. And I'm sure by the end of the semester, dili imposible nga magka-A or A may good mo. Yan na lang. Alam mo, absent, no? Kung nako ipa-comply nga seat work or assignment, just pass it on time para wala yung mga deductions because of late submission. Yan na lang. Okay? So, any other concerns? Any more questions? If wala na, try to keep on a lookout sa atong e-learn page. I might post something for you to do within this weekend. Okay? Yan mo kabala ka, dili pa siya lisod and dili pa siya solving. Wala pa man naka-encounter so far of equations. But, yan na. Alright? Sige. If there are no more questions, let's call it a day. Pwede na mag-dismiss.
Thank you, sir.
Timing na kayo, 4:30 na. Sige. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.
Ay,
Thank
day.
you, sir.
See you on Saturday, day ha, sa atong first nga lab.
Sige, sir. Sige, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Nakahawa na ng uban. Ina lang sila.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Sige.
Thank you, sir.
Bye-bye.